I never mind you. Now you where I walk, I find my wife. I walk up and down inside Cameroon. I find my wife. I know see my job. 2011. Power Records. DJ Chris, mega mixer. Me I no vex you. I never mind you. Now you where I walk, I find my wife. I walk up and down inside Cameroon. I find my wife. I know see my choice.
Wait, you. Oh, we women plenty there on this side behind. You see, no see a choice. I beg, look and find.
I walk up and down inside Cameroon. I did sing music, my mommy see I'm saying. He say I say we don't touch money. I beg, married, bring me back the king. I say mama wait, this one a new millennium. For new millennium, now me go make my choice. Now you way I be walk up, I walk up, I walk up, I walk up, walk up, walk up. So they are tired.
Well, my brother, now you're on fine. Yeah, my Mr. Day, sweet mother, my marriage in a hatchu.
Mama Tutumuna, Minister of Culture. Thank you, Mama Pamela. I need find my wife. I go north, I know see my choice. I go south, I know see my choice. I go for east, I know see my choice. I go west, I know see my choice. I come northwest, when I'm my own region. I say for Pamela, I go find my wife because Pamela girls them too over fine. For Pamela, I choose Bali girls. Bali girls them too over fine. Now all the Bali girls is on the west with the girls. They make fine foo. Bali girls they make fine jama. Bali girls them be very beautiful. Now one thing they vex me about Bali girls. Oh Bali girls, I shower.
Me and you, but no be all them. But no, talk for the drive. Okay, credit. For value.
I come up Bali down, say na bafu get fine. I walk a rich up bafu land. Waiting I see about bafu girls. Bafu girls, them too over nice. Bafu girls get plenty beer and the girls. Then the pound fine are true. Now one thing they vex me about bafu girls. Now their names be disappointment. They go to call young girl Manka, Loom, Siri, Boom, and Jam. They go to Jam.
Wonderful. Okay. You know what me man get continue. Barefoot, seven kata, and barefooty. Me and you.
I come out for the scene, I'm a gun girl. I walk a rich old man go town. Waiting I see about Macon girls.
Yes.
Macon girls, them be well educated. Macon girls, them like plenty book. And the girls, them too over fine. Now one thing they vex me about Macon girls. Or Macon girls, them be over confused. For morning time, Macon girls go wash. They go wear boutique clothes. Put on a boutique shoe. Detail vest and bag. Now Macon girls, them go buy. But Commission Avenue, confusion start. So they go to walk up, confused for town. They go to go up, go down, go up, go down, go up, go down. They go to walk up,
Hey, no be they like I'm confused. In fact, they work and they go up, they go down. They look like the land the way they're bad, they don't sell them. Many people die,
come
they
out
take
for
their
the
land
scene,
back.
I'm not begging. I reach, I'm not quelan. Waiting, I see about all the girls, Mundakwe girls, now African beauty. Mundakwe girls, them too over fine, and the girls, them get super color. Now one thing they vex me about Mundakwe girls, them too over short. No be say the girls, they like for short, and the two way they be the walk, that way they're small. Now because of the potatoes, firewood, charcoal, and cypress, where they be the character, where they're small. Come on, Mundakwe, can't say for down.
Oh, you don't know, say if you don't walk, you don't go talk. They get right for carry other things. Also that door will feed themselves. Wow.
I come on the person about something. I reach about some land. Waiting I see about Banso girls. Banso girls, them too over nice. Banso girls, them be very beautiful, and the girls, them be welcoming. Now one thing they vex me about Banso girls, fine Banso Now for they then they walk all their money 500. Come just to this fair 700. They girls them call it UK Yankolo. Ayo Yamo, Nankolo Yamo, Nankolo Yamo, Nankolo Yamo. Come just Nankolo Yamo.
Yeah, man, like easy going. They don't want walk when they want talk. Too fair, take the bus and go see. Sell them anyhow when they like. Now,
For my own village when I'm binging girls them too over fine. The girls them be hardworking and the girls they be very industrious. Now only binging girls is an always the supply. I reach for Gabon. Now only binging girls for Bamenda the supply carrot for Equatorial Guinea. Now one thing they vex me about binging girls they over dirty.
how they know go dirty? Man don't walk the whole day for farm. Come back, time for rest all day because motor they give a pass. But talking they give a less spicy.
All woman like them, like money, moto, man, mon and make mattress and mismanagement. Now one thing they know like, and that one na mutuari.
From there, you too like Mutuali. I live man. You know woman the book. They know the look book na benkanda na inside the book.
How they sing my song, some people them say, I say Rick, you push my village. I so we go poison you, make you die. I beg, wanna take this advice today. If you keep eyes could I go? When my music goes still remain. And I am still searching.
Fellow Ambazonians, I thank you all for coming on board this particular edition of Rebel TV. It is a very wonderful start of the month, July 2020. I am very pleased to be with you today and to break to you the biggest news of the century. The long-awaited news that the people of Ambazonia for the last 60 years, more than half a century, have been waiting for. The United States officially sanctioning neighboring La République du Cameroon, and that does not only end there, but it spills over into the U.S. courts, where the U.S. government, through its lawyers, have officially sanctioned and sued the Cameroon government for wrongly portraying the people of Ambazonia living in the United States as terrorists and having the backing of the U.S. government to conduct terrorist activities. It is a very lengthy page lawsuit, and I will show to you all the pages. I would explain to you what the significance of this particular lawsuit means to the independence of Ambazonia, and I will consistently show to you that every single page in that document carries the name Ambazonia. This document has been filed by the top lawyers in the U.S. government, the FBI, the White House, the USCIS, and all representative heads of attorneys in those departments jointly filing a lawsuit against Cameroon in the California courts, against not only Cameroon, but Nsalai the Quack, demanding that he should be disbarred. It is one of the most significant events that have taken place within the last 60 years in Ambazonia's history. I am particularly very pleased to announce to you this great news. I will show you the evidence, and I have the PDF documents all here ready for showcasing to the people of Ambazonia as to why they've won the war and not only winning the battle. But before then, let me take time off to greet those who are on the comment section, or those who are in the comment sections of this particular page and other pages where you're streaming my video. I want to salute you all. I'm seeing a couple of names. Desmond Tutu Eze, thank you very much for watching. Leonga Martin Monano, thank you very much for watching. Quintalum, thank you very much, Quintalum. I do appreciate one of your activism on female protection, female emancipation. Samson Gideon, thank you very much, Samson Gideon. Dine Polycarp, thank you very much. Dine Polycarp. Ndoku Gideon, Haddison, thank you very much. Ndoku Haddison. Choboy Amba, thank you very much. Choboy Amba. Spakaki Kiwong, thank you very much. Carlton Scott, thank you very much. I would also want to add that the comment section is heavily activated for blocks. Blocks from Black Legs from EPOM and blocks from Black Legs from the pastor's interim government. I just want to insist on that. Ebony Tracy, thank you very much. Lenjo Laseni, Laserian Tanto, thank you very much. A man of high power, Tanto. Marco, Kingsley, and the rest. I see everybody. I know call names, there are plenty, but I want to go straight into this matter, and I will start off with the Atlantic zone. The Atlantic zone within the last 1 week has been on fire. I want to insist before I break this wonderful news that I'm so elated to share with you on this particular broadcast, the start of the month of July 2020. I am Tapang Ivotanku. I am in charge of defense for the people of Ambazonia, particularly in the Atlantic zone, the richest region in Ambazonia, part of the Gulf of Guinea, made up of about 24 West African states. We, the people of Ambazonia, are part of the Economic Community of West African States, also known as ECOWAS. We are not part of ECAS, the Economic Community of Central African States. There are about 6 regional economic communities across Africa, rolled out as a direct consequence of the Seat Declaration and the Lagos Plan of Action and the Abuja Declaration. I want to make this particularly clear. We are not part of La République du Cameroun, and we shall not be part of La République du Cameroun. What happens in neighboring La République du Cameroun has been fully endorsed by the people of Ambazonia. And what happens in Ambazonia has been fully endorsed by other countries, including the people of Ambazonia. So, it is the business of La République du Cameroun to conduct themselves along its economic boundaries of ECAS, the Economic Community of Central African States. We are not, by every linguistic and political and historical standards, part of ECAS. We don't speak French. ECAS is made up of about 6 Central African countries, all of them French speaking. We Ambazonians are not part of ECAS. We are part of ECOWAS, made up of English speaking former colonies of the British government. I want to make this particularly very clear for historical and geographical purposes. There are about 6 regional African economic communities in Africa. The ECOWAS, the Economic Community of Central African States, or Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, ECAS, Economic Community of Central African States, IGAD, Intergovernmental Authority on Development, COMESA, the Common Markets for East and Central and Southern Africa, the Arab Maghreb Union, the AMU. We have a lot of them, 6 of them, all under the boundaries, under the foundation of the African Economic Community, rolled out as a direct consequence of the Seat Declaration in Libya, the Lagos Plan of Action rolling out the 6 steps through which Africa will meet at the point of the African unity of in 2023 or 2032 rather, and we have demarcated ourselves away from La République du Cameroun. I control the Atlantic zone. I'm in charge of defense in the Atlantic zone. I protect the oil, the Bakassi Peninsula. I protect the civilians. I give the orders in the Atlantic zone. Not anyone, not Dr. Ayabacho, it's Tapang Ivo. And I have maintained within the last 1 week, after we successfully raised funds for the defense of our women and children, for the invocation of the responsibility to protect our civilians, I have ordered that all the roads be blocked. For every civilian who has been killed in Ambazonia, throw a stone in commemoration or in remembrance of that dead civilian. If you have a family member who has been slaughtered as a direct consequence of La République du Cameroun's terrorist atrocities, rolled out in the name of a war declared on November 22 or November 20, 2017, you must immediately throw a stone on the road in the Atlantic zone. If you are in Fako, you have to immediately block the roads. No roads must be passable. You are blessed with the stones. You are blessed with every single obstruction to place on that road. Our defense forces have been doing a fantastic job when it comes to defending and protecting the lives of our women and children. We have effectively produced POPs, and we have 3 POP factories currently running in Ambazonia, particularly around the perimeters or the peripheries of the Fako region of the Atlantic zone. I want to thank our scientists, our engineers for this great job. We have been on a keen mission to take over Fako within the next 6 months, but we lacked the money. Right now we have the money. Right now we've raised more than $300,000. And this money, most of this money goes under my authority of the Atlantic region. I took time off to raise this money. We took time off to raise this money. And it is enough, and it is time for me to say the game has started. If you never ever believed Buea will come under the whims and caprices of the Ambazonia people, you should start seeing that happening right now in Ambazonia. We have made this possible. I hereby, as the deputy in charge of defense for the Atlantic, declare that no officers and the Cameroon radio television CRTV Buea will be on the capture of the Ambazonia Defense Forces. They should be ready. We are coming. We are not only coming with the guns, we are coming with the POPs. We will teach La République du Cameroon a lesson. We are asking for every single authority sitting in those colonial offices, those colonial vestiges, to evacuate immediately within the next 72 hours, because we are taking over those buildings. We are taking over those buildings in Buea, particularly. If you are on the streets, we are asking you to block those roads immediately. Within the immediate effect, you must block the roads. No roads must be passable. From Kumba to Moyuka to Ekona Lelu and right up to Buea, the passage must be blocked. From Tiko to Mutengene and to Buea, that passage must be blocked. From Limbe, passing through Bishop Rogan into Buea, that passage must be blocked. Seal all the roads leading into and out of Buea. It must and it should happen within the next 72 hours. Operation Throw Something on the Road. We are taking Buea for good. Anything that flies across and over the airspace of Ambazonia, not authorized by the people of Ambazonia and Tapangaibo, who is in charge of that zone, will be brought down. You don't fly anything without giving us the coordinates and without us vetting that particular craft. It will be brought down. We are taking these actions as a preventive and preemptive measure for the defense of our women and children. Our civilians have consistently been on the attack and tyranny and terror from the people of La République du Cameroon, who support the Republican terrorist military. And we don't accept it. It is time our people rose up to their feet, stood up on their feet and said enough is enough. This is the time. I insist, evacuate every single delegation. I will not tell you what delegation will be taken over for the start. Evacuate every single delegation in Buea. There are delegations and colonial delegations in Buea. Evacuate those buildings. If you are a CRTV worker, you must be working as a journalist under the Ambazonia National Radio and Television, not the Cameroon National Radio and Television. If anything operates in Cameroon, It is part of Cameroon. It is not part of Ambazonia. I want to make this particularly very clear. CRTV, we are coming. It is not the first time we've taken over CRTV. This time we are taking over CRTV and planting the pops around the peripheries. Anything that passes will be taken out. We have the guns. We've raised the money to defend our women and children. We are defending. We have not crossed into the borders of neighboring La République du Cameroun. We stay within our confines and we respect the Vienna Conventions of 1961 on diplomatic practices that respects the right to state sovereignty. We also respect the Vienna Conventions on 1963 on consular practices. We have not endorsed any diplomatic mission in Ambazonia because we are on a liberation phase. We are asking Nigerian consulate to start pulling out and negotiate with the Ambazonia people through the Ambazonia Governing Council for the release of the 9 or the 10 Naira abducted leaders who were illegally taken from Nigeria into neighboring La République du Cameroon. We will not accept Nigeria if they want to continue with the gunboat diplomacy against Ambazonia. They have a consulate around Bonakanda, not even Bonakanda, but Bokwango. So we are asking them to immediately start thinking of engaging in talks with the Ambazonia Governing Council because we are in control. I want to make this particularly very clear. All the roads must be immediately sealed. If you have a family member who has been slaughtered or killed in the course of this war declared against Ambazonia by Paul Biya Bartholomew Bimvondo on the 17th of November 2017, start thinking of throwing something on the road. It is a collective action. Our soldiers have been on the edges of their seats. They have the money and they have the ammunition to defend our women and children. We are invoking the responsibility to protect. We are not in any way attacking any civilian, and we are not promoting violence. We are promoting self-defense. And we stay within the international law. We have asked La République du Cameroun to kick out themselves from Ambazonia, or we shall place them in body bags. If they want to maintain their grip in Ambazonia, we will place them in body bags. So I want to make this particularly very clear as I jump into this next topic, which is very essential and important for the independence of Ambazonia. The US government officially suing La République du Cameroun in the United States, in California, for violating the rights of the people of Ambazonia towards their independence. And this document I will share to you as PDFs. I will show you these documents on the side of my screen. We will go through this document page by page, line by line. Again, I insist, as we are taking over the country, especially the capital, Buea, because we now have the money, stand with the Ambazonia Defense Forces. If you are existing as any force in Ambazonia, align bandwagon with the Ambazonia Defense Forces. We promote Ambazonia above tribal affiliations and tribal groups and tribal forces. We promote Ambazonia above any zonal force. It is an Ambazonia Defense Force. Come to us. We shall supply you with the Geneva Code of Conduct. You will swear by the oath of protecting civilians and the wounded and the sick on land, air, and sea. And you will also swear to the oath of putting Ambazonia first before any village like Ikuna, Kumba, Lebialem, and the rest. We've taken over. The people of Ambazonia now trust in the Ambazonia Defense Forces. The people of Ambazonia have now come to the light, the end of the tunnel, where they see Dr. Ayabacho Lucas as that light they never saw while walking through that dark tunnel. Now it has come to the ball of the Ambazonia Defense Forces and the Gulf Sea. We will show the people, and we are showing to the people, we are capable of delivering. We will show to the people, and we are showing to the people, we are capable of protecting them, of not stealing money, of not repeating the vices done by other so-called groups fighting for Ambazonia. It is very important we show that leadership right now, because the people have tested several governments upon governments, and those governments have failed them. On this note, I would like to share with you the breaking news. If you're watching me in the comment section, please, I beg you, share this particular broadcast. The US government has officially sued La République du Cameroon in the court. And I want to thank the son of this lunatic and this idiot called Nsalai Christopher. His son is called Nsalai Emmanuel, for giving the pathway to Ambazonia's independence by stupidly fighting against human rights. I want to hereby thank the US government for standing with the people of Ambazonia. This idiot who stole billions of dollars, this terrorist called Nsalai Christopher, one of the most ugly people I've ever seen in my life, born of Njoma and Devi Pius, fathered an idiot called Nsalai Emmanuel, a stupid fool who does not even know his left from his right, going to fight against human rights, democracy, the rule of law, good governance, and democratic accountability in Ambazonia. And his actions have provoked the US government to rally its lawyers to sue Nsalai Emmanuel and the Cameroon government in the United States, in California, in the country where the Constitution was built centuries ago. Let me share with you this particular broadcast, this particular document, as I intend to give you revolutionary orgasm. Cabin crew, ready for departure. I hope you can see this particular document. I will share with you the date of this document. You can see it was filed on June 18, 2020. Released to me by my lawyer, Curtis Edmondson, one of the biggest patent attorney in the United States, who has crippled Nsalai, the quack, the Cameroon trained quack lawyer, crippled Nsalai, the quack lawyer, and sanctions Nsalai through my victories against Nsalai Emmanuel and the Cameroon government. And Nsalai Emmanuel has officially paid me my money. He will pay $12,000 US to Tapang Ivotanku. Let me go on to read this particular lawsuit against the Cameroon government filed by the US lawyers. And you see it is written here. You can see US Attorney, United States Attorney, Nicola Hanna, David Harris, Assistant United States Attorney, Joan Osofnov, Assistant United States Attorney, Chief General of Civil Section, Yasmin Yang. You can see his California bar license. Assistant United States Attorney of the Federal Building. That means Federal Bureau of Investigation. You can see all of them. That means attorneys for the defendants. I go further to read it out. United States District Court for the Central District of California Western Division. You can see the case number. You can look up this case number. CV201233 SVWAS. Notice of motion and complaint of dismissed complaint. This is it. And you see the hearing date has been set up. I would invite all Ambazonians to storm the courts in California and give them maximum support to the US government for suing the La République du Cameroon terrorists. This should be a massive rally in California. I am presently in California and I will lead this rally. I'll be present on August 17, 2020 at about 1:30 p.m. and the courtroom is 9D. Please be there. The corona situation, respect the laws, respect the safety measures, but be there. There will be social distances, but we will trump out in droves to support the US government against La République du Cameroon. And this is stable to Honorable Wilson, United States District Judge. And let me go further. You can see the lawsuit. They give it is well structured with introduction, a factual background, the arguments, the plaintiff's lack of standing, why Cameroon government should be sued. The plaintiff's alleged injuries were not caused by defendants. Listen, that the plaintiff's alleged injuries were not caused by the defendants, which means Ambazonia, and the court cannot redress plaintiff's injury. This is very important for the state of affairs on Ambazonia. Plaintiff's lack of standing to seek prospective injunctive relief. Plaintiff has failed to identify a cause of action. The political question doctrine bars the plaintiff's relief request, and the Administrative Procedure Act is not proper avenue for plaintiff requested relief. The complaint fails to meet stringent standards for the right of mandamus. The court should deny leave to amend and sanction Salah Emmanuel. Let me go to the crux of the matter so that you see the document, which will be shared everywhere in WhatsApp. I will not go into the details, but I have already Google searched Ambazonia in this document, so I will go to only the sections that mention Ambazonia. Let me scroll down. This is exactly what I've highlighted for you to watch and for you to see. The Cameroon Association of Victims of Ambazonia Terrorism, which is a forge according to the US government, alleges that William Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, the US Department of Justice, in the official capacity as Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in his official capacity as Secretary of State for the United States Department of Treasury, the United States Department of Treasury, you can see it here, have failed to do enough to address this violent conflict in Cameroon. This is what the Cameroon government is stating, that they have failed to address this violent situation and to arrest all the defendants. So this is why the lawsuit came against the US government, and the US government is replying to this particular frivolous lawsuit and countersuing the Cameroon government. Read. And you can see here, it is written that they have failed to enforce certain criminal anti-terrorism statute. That they have failed to enforce. Let me reduce the size of my screen. Hold on 1 second. I know you cannot see this, but I want to reduce the size of my screen. Hold on. Let me reduce the size of the screen. Okay. I hope you can see this clearly right now. All right. That they have failed to enforce certain criminal anti-terrorism statutes and presidential and congressional mandates. This is what the US government is introducing as the subject on which it is countersuing the Cameroon government, a small, invisible Cameroon government. Let me go further and you read. The US government cites that other suits were brought by the plaintiffs in this district related to the conflict in Cameroon. For example, Jane Doe and Christopher Ano was dismissed. Jane Doe and Christopher Ano, Tapang Ivo and this judgment for dismissal was entered. So all of the other suits were dismissed. So this particular case shows that La République du Cameroon has a very bad agenda. Let me go further to read, and I'll go to only where I've cited Ambazonia. You see, let me go to where Ambazonia has been mentioned. This is it, that the court should dismiss plaintiffs, so-called Cameroon Association of Victims against Ambazonia complaint for injunctive and declaratory relief under the right of mandamus. The complaint in its entirety for failure to state a claim pursuant to the Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 12B6. The motion will be made in the First Street Courthouse located in Los Angeles, California by Honorable Wilson. Let me go further to read where Ambazonia has been stated as the US government sues neighboring Cameroon. That the Cameroon Association of Victims of Ambazonia Terrorism alleges this. I think I've already read this. Let me go to more details. You can see where Ambazonia has been mentioned. The US government keeps mentioning Ambazonia. It's not Tapang Ivo Tanku who wrote it. The US government. That the plaintiff is a California plaintiff alleges that it's a California non-profit corporation based in Los Angeles that act as conduit, organizer, coordinator, and seek to provide facilities for humanitarian victims of Ambazonia terrorism, including them with humanitarian assistance such as water, whatever, this and that. Defendants' failure to comply with presidential and congressional mandate has resulted to in-group calling themselves Ambazonians, using the United States as their playground to engage in acts of international terrorism, violent extremism, and hate crimes that harm civilians. Plaintiffs alleges that Ambazonians in Cameroon have committed multiple acts of violence and terror against the Cameroon civilians, including killings, maiming, burning houses, decapitation, torture, abduction, and other violent crimes, with the aim of making the northwest and the southwest regions ungovernable so that the Cameroon government will allow separation of those regions of Cameroon. This is the background the U.S. government is stating to the U.S. court. So I'm making it a summary for everyone to understand. So this is the argument. Listen to the argument why the U.S. government is making a claim against Cameroon and why Cameroon should allow the people of Ambazonia alone to continue with their independence. What I was reading above was the introduction to give you the court, giving the court a summary of what is happening in Cameroon. That the people of Cameroon are called Ambazonians have cut off, declaring themselves Ambazonians and wanting to secede completely from Ambazonia. And Salah Emmanuel has erected a so-called Cameroon Association of Victims Against Ambazonia Terrorism cavern, discrediting the people of Ambazonia, trying to blame the atrocities of the people of of Cameroon on the people of Ambazonia, and making the U.S. government to put them as terrorists, to label them as terrorists. This is why the U.S. government has stepped in favor of the United States and Ambazonia. Look at the reasons why the U.S. government is advancing that Cameroon should be sued and Cameroon should be sanctioned. 1. The federal rule of civil procedures. I will not go into details, but you can see the word dismissal under the rule days. This is it. Let me just highlight it. You can see the word here. The federal rule of civil procedure. Let me continue to read the rules. Number 2. Plaintiff's lack of standing because the harm alleged in the complaint was caused by third parties who are not before the court, and the court cannot provide the relief that redresses plaintiff's injuries. Number 3. Let us go to number 3 complaint. You see how they mention Ambazonians and the rest. Let me just go to number 3 complaint. Number 3 complaint. Where is it? Let me go to number 3 complaint. Plaintiffs lack standing to seek prospective injunctive relief. That these plaintiffs, they lack the standing to seek prospective injunctive relief. That is number 3 complaint. Number 4 complaint, plaintiffs have failed to identify a course of action. That the plaintiffs have failed to identify a course of action. Number 4, suit against the Cameroon government. The political question doctrine bars the relief requested. That Ambazonia should be left alone. If you read it here, you will see it here, this particular statement. The U.S. government attorneys are advocating that Ambazonians should be left alone to advocate for their separation, because even the U.S. government can do nothing about Ambazonia. This is under section E, where they state the political question doctrine bars the relief requested. That please allow Ambazonians to seek their independence and do what they want to do without interfering in their rights. If you read all of this, which I don't have time to explain, as you can see here, you will see everything well detailed. Let us go to the next one. That the Administrative Procedure Act is not the proper avenue for plaintiffs' requested relief. And in this particular statement, the lawyers are advocating that this particular lawsuit against Ambazonians should be served in the Ambazonia legal system and not in the United States. That you cannot have a lawsuit that deserves to be jurisdicted, if that word exists, in Iran, and you're doing it in the United States. Go to Ambazonia and do it. That is what the lawyers of the United States are writing to the California Bar Association and the California legal system, suing Cameroon, suing Salah Emmanuel for infringing on civilians' rights. When I don't see how they even mention Tapang Ivory name for the make a continue for go. They say the complaint fails to meet the stringent standards for the writ of memorandums or mandamus rather. That the court should deny leave to amend. That anything that comes as leave to amend should be immediately denied. And conclusion, The foregoing reasons, defendant respectfully request the court to dismiss the complaint with prejudice. Respectfully submitted, Nicola Hanna, United States Attorney; David Harris, United States Attorney; Chief Civil Division Johannes Osinoff, United States Attorney; Chief General Civil Service Division Young. And you can see top lawyers who were present at Donald Trump's trial are now writing in favor of the Ambazonia War for independence. What more do you need for me to show you that we have won this war? What more do you need for me to show you, sitting from the United States, that we are on the path of victory? Ambazonia is already a country. It has been declared as a country. It has been made a country. And the world, the general public, knows it as a country. That is why I, sitting in the United States, not even a citizen, still speaks and advocates for guns and bullets and explosives to defend our civilian population back home in Ambazonia. Lawsuits have been tabled, and I have crushed all those lawsuits, winning those fake lawyers, and the US government sanctioning those fake lawyers, called Nsalai the quack lawyer, asking him to pay me the sum of 12,000 US dollars, about 7 million francs CFA. I boast that I have won La République du Cameroon, and from my action, the US government is now suing La République du Cameroon, quoting me as an example. What more do you need? When my lawyer sent this to me, I was so happy, I was so elated that at least I have contributed, and the people of Ambazonia have contributed towards victory in favor of Ambazonia against La République du Cameroon. Ambazonians, let me be very clear with you here. You see, the people of Ambazonia, the people of the Ambazonia Defense Forces, are people without fear nor favor. Defeat La République du Cameroon on ground zero, defeat them abroad, and have consistently showed to you that if you stand by us, we will lead you to the path of victory. We have other people in this particular revolution, the Sakos and the rest, who have been sued, but have been hiding, afraid to call the name guns. I am the first in this United States to start calling a gun without mincing words, without fear nor favor. I have said with my face and name, buy guns. I've not said kwasangwasa. I said buy guns and bullets and explosives, improvised explosive devices, to defend your women and children, to defend your communities, to fence off terrorists, to brush off those Cameroon infiltrators wearing Cameroon uniforms, to kill your babies, to kill your women and children. You have to defend yourselves. And that is why I took up the role as the head of defense for the Atlantic region, to defend Ambazonia in the United States. I'm not sitting from Dubai. I'm not sitting from Britain. I'm not sitting from Chad. I am sitting from the United States. And I'm talking to you from the United States, precisely in San Jose, California. Come and meet me if you want to face me. You have all the rights. We have all the backings and the resources to stand by people who could lead you to independence. But you choose to follow fake people. People who will scam you. People who have no integrity. People who are afraid to call a spade a spade. Let me ask you this question. When La République du Cameroon goes down to ground zero to kill your women and children, what do they use? Do they use sticks? Do they use sugar canes? Or do they use groundnuts? None of the above. They use guns and bullets. When they go down to ground zero to slaughter your women and children, to slaughter baby Martha, for example, baby Martha was killed with what? With a stick or with a gun? With a gun. You need that same gun to slaughter La République du Cameroon terrorists. You need that same gun and even more. You don't need anything lesser than a gun. And call it a gun, a gun. The thousands of lives we've lost in Ambazonia, what did they use to kill those lives? Did they use a hammer? Did they use groundnuts? Did they use sticks or den tools or sophisticated machines? No. They used guns, AK-47s, explosives on your own brothers. And that is why you buried your own brothers and sisters, your own grandmothers, your own grandfathers. By those same things your enemy uses against you. Buy them and use against your enemy. It is what is acceptable under international law as a reciprocal force to balance an asymmetric warfare. You have to buy those same things. Don't blink. You stand with the ADF, the Ambazonia Defense Forces. If someone has been fooling you for the last 4 years that the ADF is not where you have to belong, the 90%, I would say 98% of Ambazonians now stand for the ADF. It is because we've proven it over time that we can raise money, we can buy, we can supply, we can distribute, and we can show the results. Someone asked me a question a couple of weeks ago that, Ivo, ever since you were appointed as the deputy in charge of defense for the Atlantic, why is it that the Atlantic zone has been quiet and the Savannah zone has been active? I responded, and I will still give you the same response here. Those are two different, distinct zones under the same family or the same phylum or the same class or the same order or the same genus or the same species. The kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species. If you've done biology, you know that particular hierarchy. Those are two different political, historical, cultural, and economic zones under the same kingdom called Ambazonia. The southwest zoners are not the same historical, cultural, and dynamic people as the northwest zoners. The strategy to take over the southern zone is not to hurriedly go there and start attacking carelessly. No. You need to roll out a sustainable strategy that you can keep up with that strategy over time, even for the next 2 years, unimpeded. And that is why I advise the Ambazonia Defense Forces bosses that it is not to go to Boya and shoot in one day and return and come and shoot the next 2 years. No. It is a sustainable fight. That unlike the Northwesterners, who have stood all these years having a different culture of resistance, these people of the southern zone under the banner of Ambazonia don't have that spirit of resistance. And if they do, it is not a sustainable spirit. For you to sustain that spirit, you need a different strategy. That is the strategy I brought in to say, hey, hold on. Ambazonia goes nowhere. This is the northern zone. This is the southern zone. Capo Daniel, do your stuff. My own stuff is to bring what they call the takeover funds, the TTOF. And majority of that fund, 80% of the 300,000 US dollars we've raised, plus 300,000 US dollars, goes to the Atlantic zone. Because you need a motivation factor to keep those forces alive in the southern zone and to keep the battles active. If you are silent in the southern zone for 1 second, you allow La République du Cameroon infiltrators to take over. And I advise the Defense Council, The southern zoners are very responsive to sounds of guns and bullets, more than the northern zoners. In the northern zone, a woman is frying eggs and plantains in the morning, and a bullet passes, hits the louvers, everything shatters on the floor. She continues frying her eggs and plantains. In the southern zone, without the bullet shattering the louvers, she immediately rushes for safety and she respects the order. That is exactly who the southern zoners are. And you don't want to do it once and come back after 2 years. They'll take you for a clown. Ever since I pulled out the sustainable self-defense strategy under Professor John Mearsheimer of the University of California at Berkeley, the theorist, it has been effective. Last week, after the due process of setting up a pop factory for the consistent production of pops in Ambazonia, particularly in the southern zone, that is where my pop factories are located, in the southern zone, you started seeing images, footages of us taking over. Boya, where you never expected we could take over. Many thought by the death of Ekema Patrick, we will quickly switch over Boya. No, it is not a rush. It is a strategy. Ekema Patrick died about a year ago. It took me this long, with the death of someone who had been standing on our way. It took me this long for me to start rolling out the strategies we started seeing last week. In the course of this week, you will see something happening in Boya. And it is consistent every single week that you'll be seeing. You've seen the footages. I don't need to show you on this particular screen. You've already seen what is happening in Boya. The people of Ekona Lelu, Mutengene are already waking up. And it is because I have ordered that to happen. We will also be doing mass arrest of enablers. And I want to make this particularly clear. Some people may not get it at all. And I don't care if you get it or you don't get it. When you have a mole in the house, be very careful. That mole in the house is more dangerous than the enemy outside. Because he or she is the one who opens the doors to let the enemy come into the house, telling the enemy that you are not around. This is exactly where he or she can get you when he or she gets into the house. That is why it is very important for us to weed out those internal enablers before we go for the external enablers. I don't care if it takes us 300 years to wipe out all internal enablers first before we go to La République du Cameroon. Why? The internal enablers are stationed in the house of Ambazonia. The external enablers are stationed out of Ambazonia. There is already a distance that acts as a barrier. Because if you read this book called War Trap by Professor Buenos de Mesquita of 1980, he states, an increase in distance, a decrease of power. A decrease of distance, an increase in power. To put it in simple words, if I stand close to you and I give you a punch, you will feel it more than I stand from a meter or several meters away to give you that same punch. That is why Professor Buenos de Mesquita, in his book, The War Trap of 1980, wrote, power decreases as distance increases, and power increases as distance decreases. Those internal enablers who are present in Ambazonia have more powers than the external enablers who are not present in Ambazonia. The blacklegs who are sitting among you have more power to bring you down than those real-time terrorists who are stationed in Yaoundé and Douala. Because those blacklegs know everything about you, know how to punch you, know exactly your weaknesses, and have stronger communication ties with the external enemy. And you are sitting there, you don't even know what you're doing. That is why we are being killed on a daily basis in Ambazonia. Because we tend to trust people you think speak your language, people you think side with you, people you call your countryman. This is a liberation war. You don't have any countryman. In the period of slavery, most of those who sold our black brothers as slaves were the blacks. That is why the French colonialists used the word direct rule, while the English colonialists used the word indirect rule. There was that conflict even amid the white population, because the French did not trust you, the blacks, to indirectly govern your people. But the British used black legs among us as indirect rulers. While they are away, they can still do their job. That was what is called the indirect rule, where you are delegating, devolving powers to someone to do the job should in case you are not there. And what was the job at the time? Maintaining, promoting, aiding, and abetting terrorism in the name of colonialism. Blacklegs are those who are maintaining the policy of the enemy. Blacklegs are those people whom you together, all of us will sit together, will say, oh no, Nawapadi man. You don't know that he's the mole. Look, if you put a bee here and a brother who is a blackleg, my friend, finish with that brother first before going to the bee. Because it acts as a deterrence measure. What we call extended deterrence. La République du Cameroon has extended its blacklegism in Ambazonia to deter you. My friend, deter that particular threat so that whosoever sits abroad thinking that he has powers over you where he has placed or planted his black legs would know that there is something serious happening. Before he is coming back, he should be prepared. That is why you started seeing all of these resistance happening, as the Mao Mao resistance, the Maji Maji revolt, the Bangwa resistance, the Bali resistance, the Bafu resistance. They were resisting those indirect rulers, giving the US government, the British government and the French rulers, that something is happening back home where they have escaped. When I come back, we can't see resistance. If you cannot resist now, in the name of protecting the poor Tassons whom you claim are your brothers, my friend, you are digging your grave. Jesus Christ was not supposed to have died if Judas did not sell him. If Judas, one of his own, did not sell Jesus, Jesus could have been alive. Joseph was not supposed to have been king of Egypt if his brothers, including Benjamin, did not sell him. Benjamin, whom Joseph loved so much, sold Joseph. Don't allow your traitors to sell you. They are selling you and you are not seeing it. The Bible has written it on so many occasions. I don't need to remind you stories of Samson and Delilah. How they can bring down strong men using proxies, people whom you are close to. I don't need to remind you about Blaise Compaoré and Thomas Sankara, people who studied in neighboring La République du Cameroon's War College, also known as EMIA. Left for the country, Blaise Compaoré killed Thomas Sankara, his best friend, in the name of taking over political positions. And where are they today? Dead down the grave. This is the reality. You are in a liberation war. There is no government. In governments, you make friends. In a liberation war, you are suspicious of even your best friend. Once we understand the concept of liberation warfare, we would not have had the identity of that Naira 10. This is not a war where Tapang Ivo will be invited to go to Africa and sit and dialogue. Without me knowing that, I am not governing and my enemy is present in that room. If these so-called Naira tenors understood that there is no government in the revolution, that is a liberation warfare where you don't trust anyone, believe me, they shouldn't have handpicked them in Abuja to deport to neighboring La Republic to Cameroon. It is because they wanted to assume government aggrandizement, making friendship in a war when La Republic du Cameroon is not willing to be your friend, is not willing to be a partner of any government. Who has recognized you? If no one has recognized you today and your independence or your so-called government, it tells you they are your enemies. That is why in 1970, the United Nations rolled out what is called the United Nations Friendly Act, recognizing the state sovereignties among nations, making them friends among states' sovereignties. So if no one has recognized your government, recognized your country, or recognized your identities, believe me, that man is your enemy. It is either they are with you or they are against you. Be suspicious of anything, any person who has not identified with you. And if push comes to shove, take that person out. Take them out. I want to make this particularly clear on this particular day as the deputy in charge of defense for the Atlantic. If you are with the ADF, you have the best strategists within the ADF who will not come to shout to the top of their voices to impress people with gossips and rumors, but who will come to tell you exactly what will be the way forward and how you can defeat La Republique du Cameroon, because we have the money and we have the guns and we have the people. If Dr. Ayabacho Lucas and Mr. Benedict Kwa were the most tribalistic of all Ambazonians, they should have probably named the Ambazonia Defense Forces as the Alabukam Defense Forces or the Bui Defense Forces. But because they placed national interest above tribal interest, above private gains, they named the first defense forces in Ambazonia as the Ambazonia Defense Forces. Thereafter, you started having fake people who want political aggrandizement, naming fake, ill-equipped, untrained, unprofessional boys and groups as LBLM Defense Forces, Manu Defense Forces, Bafut Defense Forces. Kill all of those names. The whites successfully shredded you into pieces for you to still use those tribal names when you're supposed to be thinking as a nationalist. This is a nationalist movement. This is a nationalist movement. What you're doing right now, what I am doing right now, is a nationalist movement. It's not a tribalist movement. It's not an ethnic war. It's not ethnic fractionalization. It is a nationalist movement. So think like a nationalist. And nationalists think in terms of the broader spectrum. Not as the species, but as the kingdom. The kingdom, class, order, family, genus, species. The kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. So think as that kingdom, the broader spectrum, not as that lower species called tribes. I encourage all the defense forces, stay under the banners of the ADF, the Ambazonia Defense Forces. I want to make this particularly clear. Ambazonians, if anyone sitting abroad buys a parcel of land, and I want to make this, you have to share this message because I know this is going on currently in this revolution. If any human being sitting abroad from all of this Wunameru land buys a parcel of land back home in Ambazonia at this time when there is a liberation war going on, a nationalist movement going on, consider yourself a loser because we will seize the land. Any land being bought, any parcel of land being bought at this time of the revolution, belongs to Ambazonians. We encourage all the defense forces to confiscate, to grab those land or those parcels of land illegally bought by those so-called bushfallers who have been waiting for this opportunity, where people will be fleeing from their houses, fleeing from their communities, being vulnerable to live, and are willing to sell millions of hectares of land for paltry sums from stupid bushfallers who will not support the Ambazonia revolution but want to take advantage of the revolution before the revolution ends. No, it will not happen. If anyone, I insist, might just talk about pigeon. If any person she done for abroad, the things they want buy land for this time when the war only happened since 2016, might tell you we will seize the land. I will not tell what defense force made us seize any land. If we catch anybody, the demarcate land, they build nonsense, say hotel for this revolution with the seize and down. Now we own Ambazonia. Go buy them for neighboring La Republic. If you want to fight me for social media, fight me on social media, but I might tell you for ground zero, I control them. Go buy them for neighboring La Republic. Where people, they don't be vulnerable. In as much as we protect the physical nature, the lives of our people, we protect their economic properties. We protect their economic interest. Nobody not going to sell or trade anything for Ambazonia right now. Everything is on a standstill. La Republic du Cameroon, they take advantage. All these francophones that they come now to come buy with parcels of land. So that in future when they come back, Ambazonia don't free because we respect civilians irrespective of gender, race, culture, color, and the rest according to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights Article 1. So that in future we'll say we'll respect you. No, we'll seize them. We'll do a land redistribution campaign. We will redistribute those parcels, hectares or hexagons of land back to the people. The indigenous people. Their ancestral rights want to come, can dupe them, frighten them, seize them, for take money for start make land documents. Now they sign the land documents, may I ask a question. Now La Republic they sign them on Ambazonia. Because me, they never come for me, say I sign land documents. We don't get no Ministry of Land Service. Now La Republic they get them. And if now La Republic du Cameroon can tell you, say, hey, I sign your land document, tell them, say, my friend, Tapang Iver don't talk, say, that land will be your own. I don't want to use the word kill, but we'll exterminate you for that same land where you did it. I want to make a maybe clear. Because where it will start happen in the future, when I go say, oh no, I want to make it be clear. They go put you for that land and they go bury you for inside that land. So that may you remember, say you thief land in the course of the war. If any man she done for abroad, I want just make this thing because I just ever talk until it happen. Mami happy land they don't bombona. As they don't bombon houses, some bush for that they she don't they pay ma'am. Say now find time this or go buy land. That land where they be selling 25 million, now that part they selling at 100,000. Go try them. Go buy them, can see something. And when they get information from ground zero, say people they want to go buy that land. Go buy them, can see something. Make the thing sing for my ear. People they get my number. I just put my number for you so that make people they call me when they get problem for land. Make I just put my number for you when I start calling me when I get problem for land. I want to put my number maybe clear. Now my number down that screen. If anybody know anybody for Ambazonia where they buy land now or they trade land or want to sell land, please call me. I they put a stop to it and I they send defense forces. May they not only collect the money where you gam, they will chase you out of that land. That money in taxes will help our refugees with them. Millions of refugees they for Nigeria, they don't leave their land them. The one the way they don't shit down for the land. They fear for even live onto the land. When they come with intimidation tactic, come with money for frightening them, for give them small money, because they be vulnerable for take their land. You think they want to sell their land? No. We will roll out what was done in Zimbabwe during the 1979 Lancaster House Agreement, enshrined in their constitution as the willing buyer, willing seller policy. Let me repeat. We will roll out what was enshrined in the Lancaster House Agreement of 1979 in Rhodesia, formerly known as Zimbabwe, as the willing buyer, willing seller policy. If anybody wants to sell a land, it should be at his or her own will. So you must have a willing buyer and you must have a willing seller. If someone is not willing to even sell, don't intimidate that person. If I hear any nonsense about intimidation, trust me, cops go sleep for ground. So when a bush full of one share for yes, so I make money. If when I think send a time this for go buy land, I swear to God, if I not put some man for inside ground, call me bastard. Because when I don't shit on, when I don't see how way, and when I shit on the country, we say, oh, we don't spoil country. Oh, we don't make people to be refugees. Okay. When I want to take advantage for go seize their land. We know all of those games. Tapang Ivo. So man tell una me tapang Ivo tell una because now ever tapang Ivo the talk. I need to take nonsense. If Dr. Yabacho they tell una, Mr. Benedict one tell una, Sheikh Kavin tell una, me ma tell una, go tell una. Without consulting anybody, I go tell una. There will be a land distribution campaign immediately as we get our independence to please our refugees who left. You came with stolen wealth from abroad without supporting and paying war taxes. You came to steal their land, not even buying their land, but stealing their land. It will not happen. If this one no enter for person head, make when I hear them today. If I not put some person for inside that ground where when I don't can thief their land, then call me bastard. Ma tell una, I be in charge of defense. I dey control gun, I dey control bullets, I dey control the entire Atlantic zone. That means that region they under me. I dey control them, and I get to protect not only the lives of my people. We need to fight Ambazonia for protect the lives of our people. We need to fight for protect their properties. We need to fight for protect their economic interests, their livelihoods, their ancestral rights, their cultural rights, their political rights. That is what we are fighting for. We are respecting the 1977 International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Likewise, the 1977 International Covenant on Social, Cultural, and Economic Rights. So this should be clear. If any man tell you any nonsense, to say tapang I would don't say ngang. Try them. Now my number that for screen. People they share them. I want to make person share my number that for screen. I swear to God, even after this show, so just make some man to call me and say, I would they come buy my land. When I see action within the next 24 hours. I want to take all the message going after bush for the abroad. I yank a caution that on they say when something. I don't want to repeat that word. But when I try that nonsense, as soon as she done for abroad, make man try them. I don't run. I need the vex, but after this, I go vex. When I go hear news for Ground Zero, we don't raise money, and that money that will protect our civilians and all of their interests. That money not for protect when I want to shit down abroad. When I don't want to contribute for struggle, but when I want to go thief people their land, this man try that man pima, try him. When I go see something. Second thing I want for this particular revolution, you know, go only end for land. You continue for other sectors. For instance, Ambazonia, your revolution, people their houses. Any man with a big hotel. I don't know how I go speak this one make come out clear. Any man, please. Admin, when I the block for comment section because I did so at the block. When I just the block, admin, if you need to do your work, I go just repeat. Make I just write and say block is activated because they say people they don't know block is activated. Any man we talk nonsense for admin, I beg when I write and say block is activated. Admin, when I write block is activated. Admin, block is activated. I wanna block any person who come with negative comment. I don't care because we know the revolution is not televised. The fact that I can't shit off here will find code no means saying a televised revolution. I need the first person will watch me. If you shit on, you feel say don't buy land, you want cost eye for comment section, your own end for comment section. Go try and for Ground Zero abalaka. So I swear to God, you die. Are you after now? You go for inside grave. You go inside grave. Try them. If you get power, try them. When I don't see power monger, when I call power monger, no, we the protect civilians back home. When I shit on for abroad, they make politics. Try them. Go buy land for Ground Zero. Say power monger. Because you the thief money want go buy land for Ground Zero. Go buy mommy happy land where it suffer. Day for day, you know if you even leave anything. When I want to go buy them because I don't die, had don't born house. Go buy them now because I want to be hotel. Swine. Make I enter point number 2. Any man will be any hotel, any business premise. For instance, Bazonia right now, where they confiscate the promise. If you be anything we call hotel, any property where they don't build them before 2016 years, will leave them. They want the way that they construct them now. Where they start from foundation, they construct them now, say hotel. No. Now comes the war with the poor refugees every day. In fact, we still deliberate whether we'll take over all hotels for put refugees them because refugees they don't continue to sleep inside bush. Man no go the shit down for here they make business for inside town. We were refugees, man meet them. They sleep for inside bush or inside mosquito. No. All refugees when I start prepare when they come back when I can enter for inside hotel. Permanently for inside hotel we don't bill and we bush for like they don't thief money for can bill them for inside war for make business. No. We don't talk say all construction stop. If we see anything they raise up right now, we will take that property, we will put in our refugees there for inside me they live happily. I want to repeat I didn't say they enter people that ear. So I want to just sing them again. Because we get the gun, we get the bullets, we know how to enforce these things. So I want to just make it be clear. If you get bush for like when your brother, tell your brother say that house where they build them a refugee, they house them. I don't know how to talk this thing, whether they start talking about Spanish or about French. Je te dis que si tu es un bushfola, tu as un lieu de construction en Amazonie. La maison que tu es en train de construire, c'est notre maison. C'est la maison de nos réfugiés. Nos réfugiés. On a réfugié. Ou j'ai réfugié, tu es réfugié. De nos réfugiés. That house, now our house for our refugees. You not go stay for there. We go take them, we put in our people there for inside the house, and they go stay for inside the house because they lack place for stay. So I make it be particularly clear because I know we'll come back with this words again. I know go repeat myself again. If you think in a time this lay you for bushfalla, for go the build containers, the ship containers, and the see all on the shipper. I don't get problem with una can ship for Nigeria. Place the day for una do business. No for Cameroon or Modouan. Go for Cameroon, go ship them. No day. For Amazonia, I don't say no. If you want to ship your container, after all, I get port system for Douala. May end for Douala day. By the time you cross Tico, the enter for inside Amazonia, no say our property. I want just let una know. So by the time you cross Tico, the enter, no say our property. If you never pay taxes. So when it was that for ship container, alert to whom it may be concerned. Make sure say you pay your taxes. Because when the container enter Douala, you pay Douayen taxes. When enter for instance Amazonia no be a tax-free society. No. Taxes must happen even inside war. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and to God what belongs to God. Just like how we go pay millions then for Douayen, for custom duties. We need to ask you millions. We just must pay war tax. Whether it's $20, $30, or $1 million, you must pay them. If you not pay war tax, you bring container. Because we know these things. I want just talk and make the thing enter people that ear. When I go here, say bushfalla, the load container for Malingo Junction. We just can't pick that bushfalla for a hair so. Just for a hair. We just can't pick you so. Go put them for prison. You must show whether they don't pay taxes or not. I want to make it maybe clear because I know people where they ship, even the one you don't just come over ship now. So, and so anyone we there abroad begin to give you information for people who don't start ship because I know say yes, some of them jealousy among una. So now that information will even come for you easily. Give we the information, make we hold those people then back for ground zero. Ask them whether they don't pay war tax or not. If they never pay war tax, we arrest them. They must pay that war tax. We hold the container and we take all the property inside the container, distribute them for our refugees. Una no go enter for instance Amazonia when I no pay war tax. But when they enter for neighboring La Republic, una one clear container for their douane for their custom duties, when they pay millions. Una facing for Amazonia on our pass. Now when they promote that one and indivisible nature for Amazonia. When I feel say whole Cameroon has authority over Amazonia, that's why if I pay taxes in Douala, I can still enter Boya, I can still enter Bamenda. No! They're two different countries. The earlier I start make una understand that two different tax systems, the better for una. Any man, I don't put my number for them, me put the see the number when I see number. Any man way in the ship container I beg from Japan, especially where the motor they enter, spare parts. Una let me know tapang Ivo na my number this and they change. Now me I go handle that affairs. Now me I be in charge of immigration for Ambazonia. Now me I stand for Tico Road. Now me I stand for Matism. Anything where they enter, war tax must come out from inside. Or we take that container, we ship them for our refugees that inside bush, may they get mattress the inside that container. Because now they can't sell bush for that mattress, our refugees they sleep without mattress. Now they sell computers them, our refugees they don't get computer, they didn't go school. Point number 3. How they talk strategies and so many people that hear fine. May any man open your ear when I hear them. If you know any rich man waiting inside a quarter, I want just talk this one, make come more clear because I don't know how he talk again. If you know any rich man waiting for inside your quarter, any rich man like some man we rich, cut electricity for your house. Climb for electric pole, cut electricity for your house. Any man will get money, small money like the man a rich man, cut electricity for your house. For inside Ambazonia, and this one a general one. If you know line where they share electricity, where they make electricity come also they go enter right for inside upstation, right for inside play with government workers the day, right for ministry, cut that electricity. Climb for electric pole, you cut them. If you see pipe where water they pass, you go reach my house, bust that pipe, bust them. If you see pipe where they go enter for ministry, for delegation, that place where they make ministry of education, ministry or that colonial, bust that pipe. This revolution have to make the system ungovernable. While refugees, they no go shit inside bush, they lack water and electricity. A rich man is shit for inside city. Oh, we have electricity, we have water, we have this. I don't talk say, it end. If you see pipe, just take stone, you knock onto the pipe. Hear me fine. If you see pipe, take stone, you onto that pipe. Electricity, climb for day, you cut the electricity supply. Cable, any man will get cablash, cut them. The war, some people they don't suffer, so one day they enjoy. Either always suffer or always lose them. This is a war. Upstation Bamenda, electricity supply una cut them off. Una not let La Republic to Cameroon get light because now for night time when they do action. So I don't want to say sometimes what boy they enter, they want to do some action, then light shine. No, una cut the light off. If you know place where electricity they enter so my house, water they enter, cut down off. I don't know how I go talk, I go tire. This one are for defensive purposes because that light they take and expose for soldiers. That light they take and expose for civilians, they kill for civilians. Please cut the water, cut the electricity, cut that supply route. La Republic they use na light for take and for prepare make strategies for can kill our civilians. They drink water when they hold meetings them for can kill our civilians. When I shut down the supply of water and electricity to those military camps, shut them down. Bring that down immediately. Boy, you are not going to get water. Any man wanna go pump, wanna go carry water for pump for stream. Now go see this, go carry water. See this in the widow owner. So water there for see this plenty. Wanna go down for see this, go carry water. Any boy, you not get to good water. Wanna see any pipe, wanna bust them. Take stone, knock onto the pipe, so poof, it bust. Anything where they pass, wanna destroy them. Because we're civilians, they're there for inside bush like refugees. Those thieves called ministers, that they should only enjoy when are free resources. The way for when they pay for those resources. When a name for user. I want to make it be very clear because a word to a wise, na Sophie get them, not be me I get them. A word to a wise, na Sophie is sense. A word to a wise, na Sophie is sense. Ambazonians, I don't put number for them. People where they want call me, especially when they get problems with land and the rest, I'll be very open for ways people that cause them. And then they talk. When I don't give my order, I don't give my order. Any man we there for boya, you turn up at a lack. Taxi man, if you there for inside taxi station, vipers they go to visit that taxi station them. That taxi way they carry them, it be very easy. When I know they have to do them for vipers. Just carry something, you know what's I talk something. Put that inside your back. Just carry something, you lock them, you tie them fine. Go for place where you know play they carry water. You know the two I talk about. Now so that they enforce ghost towns. You go for place where they carry water. You put water inside your back, you lock the water fine, you know the water. You lock the water fine, you put it inside your back. You say, taxi man, I beg, carry me, I want to go Bokova. I will go drop me for Bokova. I carry the water, you don't put the water inside your back. You put it inside for backboat. I will put it for backboat driver. I will put it for backboat. As you go put it for backboat, place where you don't go, you go on a ride for Bokova. You pay like 1,000. That tax might violate ghost towns. When you enter for ride for inside Bokova, you toss the taxi man and they drum now for year where you don't really get a boy there for bush. And you don't know say coast clear. As you come off of back the taxi, so you say, driver, I beg, how did Babuka? Oh, let me open them. Oh no, I don't already open and leave and she don't inside motor. As you open the baboot, you don't really get so your thing where if you light them. You just throw that your water for inside that baboot, you light them, you go you. Now so that man will learn lesson. Very easy strategy. So they stop ghost towns, and so they stop other violators than once and for all. Now easy strategy that would give you now. Once you light them, driver just come out go in. The thing just there for road day. I don't really talk them. I don't understand what I talk them. Ambazonians, I they tell you this one week when I hear say we they protect civilians. We they protect our women and children. And we they stand against violence, torture, kidnapping, taking of ransom in every shape and form. We protect our civilian rights, our cultural rights, their properties. Very much important, their properties. And their political rights. I want to thank you all for watching. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.